Everybody was raving over the Q&A episode, so we decided we'd do it again.
Do another one. No one builds homes 20, 30 times a year, so this is just a great opportunity for them to learn a little bit.
I should preface this and say that Jenna scours the internet.
Yes.
Jenna scours them, and she sends me these questions. And some of them, guys, not a chance you're making it on the podcast.
Already an existing house on the property that needed to be demolished first. And is it possible to convert the garage space in any of your plans into additional living space? Do all of your plans accommodate basements?
So I would say what's up, Jenna?
What's up?
Man, I'm excited to be back in here with you. Everybody was raving over the Q&A episode, so we decided we'd do it again.
Do another one.
So we always say, like, you know, we run a couple different Facebook groups, and we're always in there asking questions and posting things, and we see all your questions. And so what we want to do is kind of have some of these episodes where we dive in and answer those questions from our perspective. And hopefully it adds value to you. And good luck on your Barndo building journey. And no matter who you choose, vet your builder and jump on in there, Jenna. What we got?
I mean, as we always say, the podcast is really a place, our podcast at least, is really a place for people to just educate themselves about the process because, I mean, no one builds homes 20, 30 times a year. So all these homeowners have no idea what to do. So this is just a great opportunity for them to learn a little bit and scoured the internet and got some questions for you today. So I'll go ahead and start off with this first one.
I should preface this and say that Jenna scours the internet.
Yes.
Jenna scours them, and she sends me these questions. And some of them, guys, not a chance you're making it on the podcast.
All right. So first question we have is, have you guys ever done a barndo build where there's already an existing house on the property that needed to be demolished first? And what did that look like?
So we have. And I prefer that over the one where there's a house on the property and they're like, can we just build this onto this house? We've done both. Mm-hmm. That one's a nightmare. And it boils down to your local municipality and what their stance is on it. But I can tell you that if you have a home that needs to be demolished, it's just one more step in the game. It's just one more line item in the budget. But we can absolutely handle that for you. One of the first barns that we ever built was a couple that moved here from, I think, Florida. And they bought some beautiful property up in Campobello. Gorgeous, gorgeous place. And it had a little, like, pole home on the back half that was like a little Airbnb cottage that the people that lived in the main home had built for extra income. And so when they bought the property, they got both homes, but the original home was, you know, the old home place, and it was kind of, I guess if you didn't grow up there, didn't have the same charm and charisma to the new owners. And so they wanted to build a barndominium, move into the barndominium, and then continue to rent out the little cottage. So that was one of our first rodeos. And so we went in and, you know, pulled the demolition permits and pushed that house down, excavated and hauled things away. Actually, to tell you the truth, and this is one thing that you should be wary of, is the grading contractor that we hired hauled some away, and then they buried some of the debris. Oh. And then we found the buried debris because, you know, we're not just building on top of the earth. We have to dig footings, and we have to dig these things. And I remember the demo team come in there, and they did it. We were like, man, they did a fantastic job. This looks incredible. And then we went out and boxed up the slab for the home and sent our guys out there, our concrete guys, to start digging footings. And they were like, hey, man, we just dug up a refrigerator in this one corner. And then in this other corner, there's like, we got some bricks and stuff. And
we got the washing machine over here.
So then we had to call them back out and have them dig up all of the ground. And, you know, we're out there scanning everything and making sure every piece of debris got out of there so that we could, you know, do it the right way. So if you're going to demolish a home, I would say that even if you don't use your builder for the demo, because we've built several on pieces of dirt where they've already did the demolition. So like that's definitely something that you could DIY. If during your design process where you're waiting, if you pay me to do it, you're paying me to hire someone and then paying me a markup to manage them and run them under my insurance as well. It's not like we have the in-house Barndo demo team that's going to go out there and do it for you. And chances are your builder's not going out there and doing it themselves either. So again, that's one of those things you could do to save yourself a little bit of money is handle that yourself. But if you do it, make sure that they're removing that debris and they're not just burying it in the ground because, there's a misconception there that, hey, that's okay, it'd be fine. But really it's not. And you don't want that under there. It's going to destabilize because you don't know what they're burying. They bury steel, maybe you don't have an issue with settling. But if they're burying, old wood and lumber and things under the ground, that's going to deteriorate over time. And then when it deteriorates, the soil's going to collapse in that area, and then your foundation's going to settle more in that area. You're going to have cracks in your concrete. And I mean, if you're building a more traditional pole frame, then, those guys are putting posts in the ground. They're going to hit that stuff. So I would say the biggest thing is make sure you do the demolition the correct way and get it out of there. Not only that, but, there's things that were used to build with in previous generations that now we realize are dangerous. And so like asbestos, that was a very common material back in the day. They even put it in the concrete, they put it in siding, they put it in roofing, they put it in everything, in insulation. And so you don't want to have asbestos buried into your soils. One, that's a huge federal no-no.
Yes.
And you don't want to get caught with that. The second thing is the county could come out there and say, well, you've created a landfill. Now you don't have permits for a landfill. So there is a way that could go really far wrong for you. So whoever you hire, I would vet out your demo contractor. And if you use your builder, they're going to do a thorough job vetting that. And like I say, that was a bump in the road. The homeowner was pissed when we told him, like, we're digging up, refrigerators. But again, we had to go out there and screed the soil and get everything out. And, we made it right. But it was just one of those things that delayed the process a little bit. It was an unexpected interruption in the build. But no, you can absolutely do it. And so that, like I say, it's just a few extra steps, a little bit extra money to get that old home out of there safely and then come in and build your dream home.
Awesome. So this next question we actually just recently posted our black on black sugar plum plan Barndo. That's got a what's it called? Where it's just a frame almost.
Just a gable, yeah.
Yep, just a gable, and then the garage attached to it. So someone was asking, is it possible to convert the garage space in any of your plans into additional living spaces?
Absolutely, it's super easy. Because one of the things that we do differently now, again, it's going to vary builder to builder. It's going to vary, style to style. We build our garages the exact same way that we build our homes. And so we're not doing additional spacing in those. We could, but we also know that, we're building homes that people live in. And if you decided to go in there at a later date and do it, we want to make sure that it's built to withstand that renovation. So we're building our garages to the same load calculations as if it were a, dwelling area. And so you can absolutely go in there and convert them. From the start is super easy because we just remove the garage doors and put windows and regular doors in there, and we can frame it up however you'd like. And we do that quite a bit. One other thing that a lot of people do is where, because a lot of times we'll do kind of like detached garages with breezeways, and we have people ask all the time, like, a lot of your plans have these like detached garages or like these breezeway connections. Why is that? Because if we're going to remove the garage because someone doesn't want it, it's way easier than if it were incorporated into the main living area, because now you got like this weird 25-foot by 20-foot space that you're like, what are we going to do with that? Unless you want a second living room, you're kind of limited. So we try to do that on purpose so that you again, putting the ball in your court, you're picking a plan offline. You could come back and build that later. You could build it, together. Or what we've seen a lot of people doing is taking and making the garage area an additional dwelling unit. And then they'll do the, conditioned breezeway or a true open air breezeway, so that you can get back and forth between the two. But for sure, you could convert any of those spaces into whatever you'd like them to be.
So that actually kind of goes into my next question. Do y'all offer garages with in-law suites?
Yes. So a lot of the plans that you'll see, like our Maple 2 plan, it'll have like the optional attic above. So we've had several people take and convert that into additional living areas, or make that into like an in-law suite up there, or a movie theater. Like, we've seen all kinds of different things. Another thing that a lot of people do is they'll have us build their garage and then put that floor system in and then leave it unfinished, like an unfinished attic, because they know, like, hey, sometime in the next 2 to 3 years, 5 years, mom and dad are getting a little older, or they're planning to relocate here. Well, that's the more common thing now. Is like everybody's relocating, and they're like, hey, our parents want to come, so let's go ahead and put the floor system in so that it's ready to convert to that space when we need it, because we know we're going to need it. And so we'll go in and build that floor system out and have that big unfinished space. Keeps their budget lower on the front end, and then it gives them that option. So it's really easy to go in and convert that at a later date.
Yeah, I've seen that with our Maple 2 plan. It has an attached garage, but one of our clients, instead of attaching a garage, they attached our spruce plan and used it as an additional dwelling unit. So,
if you're looking for ADUs, the spruce is the play.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal plan.
All right, so next question. Can you build on top of a crawl space, or do you exclusively build on slabs?
So if the question is, can we? Of course. Will we? Probably not. So there's a few things that come into this. So like the Barndo Co. standard is going to be on a slab or a basement. There's some differences that come in there. Like the Barndo standard is built on a slab. Now, it could be a raised slab. So we can come in there and pour stem walls and then backfill dirt in there. So it wouldn't really be a true crawl space. But we can still elevate that thing so that, you know, in those areas where crawl spaces are needed, it's typically because you have elevation change. And so we can accommodate that with a raised slab. And so we do that all the time, because when we do a slab, our building system attaches, you know, our posts anchor into that concrete, and then our trusses span post to post, and that's how you get our Barndo Co. standard. Now, a couple things change. So we do basements all the time, and what I tell people is like a crawl space can cost more than the slab. So if you're going to do it and you've got a lot of slope, we should probably do a basement. You know, so if you're going to pay for that area, at least you have that to use. Even if you're not using it day one, you have that space down there for future expansion of your home, or, you know, a big workshop, or a place for the kids to go play, or just a dark, you know, gloomy grandma dungeon, as Alicia calls them. But when we build on a basement, a couple things change. One is we go to all 2x6 exterior framing. There's no posts. Another thing that we do is we 9 times out of 10 will transition that to a wooden truss build, just because everything seats up better and it distributes the load better for that type of application. Now, something that we have started offering in some of our markets, not everywhere. So if you're listening to this, like, don't go crazy yet, but it is coming to every market, is our SFH line. So SFH, Southern Farmhouse, and what we noticed was, you know, the way we build our barndominiums is very affordable, apples to apples, to other custom homes. But if you compare it to, you know, inferior building practices, it's not always the most cost-effective option. So we have some people who are limited by, you know, they have a budget constraint, and the space is the deal breaker. Like they don't care about finishes. They don't care about, you know, all the energy efficiencies and things that our Barndo Co. staple brings. They need the space. So we've heard that, we listened, and so we've offered this new line of product through our SFH line that is a traditional, you know, framed home with wooden trusses, 2x4 walls. We can do metal roofs and everything on it and make it have the Barndo appearance. But it is a little bit lesser build quality. But it's in line with the majority of what's being built right now anyway. In those instances, we can do crawl spaces. We actually have a spec that's coming up soon that'll be on a crawl space. And it's just because of the way the land is, there's engineered septic involved. It just makes sense to do it. So can we? Yes. Does it change it? Yes. Now, I will say this. Can you build a pole frame house with a crawl space? Of course you can. Yeah. We just had Mike Moom on the show a few weeks ago, and he has a system where he can do it. So it's really up to your builder. But if you're coming to us, we're not going to build our standard Barndo code because we're building a post frame hybrid. It's not conducive to crawl space building. If we're doing a crawl space, you're going to end up with conventional frame walls and most likely wooden trusses. But it can be done. It's just not likely unless you're going in that SFH model.
Gotcha. So going a little bit deeper into basements, we got a question. Do all of your plans accommodate basements, or is that a feature available only in certain plans? And if it is certain plans, which plans include the option for a basement?
We can make any plan meet the criteria for a basement. But again, it's going to change the way it's built.
Yep.
So you're not going to end up with the exact same thing as if you were to build that on a slab.
Yep.
But we built everything. Like the city barn that we built in Spartanburg is a monitor style traditional monitor barn on a basement. And it's actually a duplex. So there's a full house above and a full house below. And that's doable. But again, it changed the build method a little bit because that's a conventionally framed home with wooden trusses. It's all about load distribution when you get to basements. And here's the thing. You're going to spend some money to build a basement. If you're building that basement to put living space in, it's not as exaggerated of a cost. But if you're just building a basement because your land requires one to put a home on top, that basement is going to have some substantial cost difference. So that's just something to think about. But yeah, any plan that we have can be converted to a basement. And again, different markets that we're in, we see more basements than not because of the topography, right? Yeah. Down in our low country offices, you're not seeing basements ever. Same with Dunn. Like it'd be very rare that you would build a basement there. But like in our Greenville markets up into Tennessee and Western North Carolina, we see them all the time. Almost exclusively, that's where they're going. Yeah. And so, yeah, any plan can be converted. It just changes some things. So it would be a major modification to add one. So you couldn't just be like, well, I want to pick this plan and then, do a basement. Like it would almost be like a custom because we'd have to do so many changes to the design. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So let's go into plans. On average, how long does it take to receive your plans once ordered with slight modifications?
Here's what I would say. If you're changing anything, tell yourself 90 days and be happy when it's in 40. Yeah. And again, it's not that it necessarily takes that long. It does take a lot of time. Like you can go back and watch previous episodes where we had Jeff Fry on here, and he's kind of talking about some of that process and how they handle things and the way they treat those. There's two divisions of the company. One that does these minor mods, and there's a pretty extensive list of what's considered a minor modification. It's basically based on the amount of time that it takes the designer to make those changes. The problem is it's volumes, right? So we have 500 and almost 500 people that are building with us that are in that pipeline at some stage. Some of them are in construction, some of them are in design, some of them are in spec, some of them are just waiting on financing. But regardless, there's always a lot of people in the design phase that are, clogging up, taking time. Yeah. And then you take that, and then you take our online plan sales. All of those people are in queue. Even if we're not building for them, we're designing plans for them. And so it's just a matter of getting you in with the designer so that you can get that one-on-one time versus just sending an email and hoping that we make the best modifications possible. We want you to have a great experience through that, regardless if you're buying plans online to build elsewhere or if you're building with us. So I would say at least 30 days. Nobody's getting anything before 30 days, and maybe as much as 90 days, depending on circumstances. And again, it comes back to how decisive are you? Yep. Because if you keep making modifications or you just don't like it or you change something and all these different things, like it adds time. And we've had numerous people come in and start with a plan with minor mods, and then they end up funding it up to a full custom because they just want to keep changing things. And it's cool. This is your forever home. So we want you to have that option. You're not an inconvenience if that's who you are. Just know that like that's the reason behind it. Like it's very rarely that the designer is just not paying attention.
Yeah.
It's more so like as you do this, it's like anything. Mm-hmm. You know, like we have clients that we build their homes and within a year they're renovating something in their home just because that's who they are, right? They're like, we got to change something. Those same people are in design. Mm-hmm. So if you know your personality type and you know that like, hey, I'm someone that like I do nothing basic. Mm-hmm. Everything's bougie. You know, you go buy a brand new car and the first thing you do is take it somewhere to get the windows tinted and different tires and rims put on it and all this. Uh-huh. If you're one of those people, 90 days. Mm-hmm. Like set yourself up for success with your expectations, and do that. If you're one of those people where you're like, wow, I love it just the way it is, I just want to flip this to here, then like I said, 30 days probably. Gotcha. But yeah.
All right. So if clients choose a shell build option, does this include plumbing, electrical, and HVAC? And if it doesn't, then what exactly does our shell package entail?
So that's another loaded one. Our typical shell packages do not include any MEP. So there's no plumbing, no electrical, no HVAC in those. Our typical shell packages are the home. So we come in and build the exterior. We put the windows and doors in. We put the siding on. We put the roof on. We box everything. And then we also include the interior wall framing. Some people don't want the interior wall framing, so we only do the perimeter. And then finish everything the same. Some people do want the interior wall framing because they want all the structure to be done. And they're going to come in and handle the rest of it and kind of either GC it themselves or they're going to go in there and get dirty hands and muddy boots and build this thing. Hey, look, I'm cheering for you. But the reason we don't include those things is because those aren't one and done. And so if you're building a shell, one of the things that we're going to ask you is who's your plumber. So if you're considering this, start looking for a plumber. You know, this is when you're going to need them. You know, you're also going to go pull your permits yourself because we're not the builder on record. You're hiring us as a subcontractor to come in and deliver partial goods. So if you're building a shell, you're pulling your permit. Chances are you're going to live in a municipality if you're in our build area that they're going to require you to have that plumber pull the plumbing permit. You know, some areas maybe not, but majority of our area, they're going to require licensed trades for all the MEP, so mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So you need a good plumber. And so kind of how that process works is we come out, we stake it up, we put up the box the slab, which is all the batter boards where the concrete's going to go. Once we get that in place, your plumber will come out, trench everything, run all of his plumbing lines, get all of his stub outs in, everything that's going to be under that slab, the under slab plumbing portion. And then again, if you've got electrical in your kitchen island, or you know you're going to have floor outlets or something in your living room, you're going to need your electrician to come out there, and he's going to run all that stuff and bury it in the dirt before the concrete comes. So those things are excluded in our base package, and here's the reason. Could we send someone up there to do it? Sure we could. But we're not going to be there when they got to come back and trim it out. So, like, you got your rough ends and your rough outs on your plumbing and electrical, and we don't want to set you up for failure because here's what we know. If my plumber comes up there, does the underslab, and your plumber comes to do the trim out, and something doesn't line up, he's going to blame my guy. My guy's going to blame your guy, and you're going to be caught in the crosswinds. So it's easier to hire that plumber or that electrician to do the whole project, and now they're coming in doing phase one, and then when you get it to the point where you're ready for phase two, they come in and do phase two, and then you have them and their whatever warranties or whatever they offer for you throughout the life of that home or the first year of that home, however they have it. So again, if you're general contracting this on your own, those are the things you need to be looking for.
Also go check out our episode with Mike Moom, the pole barn guru, because we talked a lot about DIY in that episode. So
that's all they do. So they he's a great resource if you're looking to do it yourself.
All right. So do you charge a fee for a consultation?
In what regard?
I would say in regards of a discovery call.
No. So kind of the process is we everybody gets to talk for free, right? Everybody has questions. Everybody's dreaming about this. So literally our sales team is taking dozens and dozens of calls a day and talking through the process with everybody. Once you determine that, yes, I do want to build a barndominium. Yes, I am ready to get started. I'm ready to take the baby step of getting it out of my head, getting it on paper, getting someone out to my property to take a look at that and figure out what those pre-construction costs are going to be. I'm ready to start, waffling through this thing to figure out what it's really going to cost me. I'm ready to get in touch with a lender and figure out like what I can afford to build or what, I set a boundary for myself because a lot of people can afford way more than what they want to spend. And so that's fine. Once you get to that point and you're qualified and you're like, yes, this is something I want to do, then we're going to ask you to onboard with us, right? And again, the onboarding is a non-commitment to build. It's literally saying, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm not sure if I'm going to use your company or not, but I'm definitely going to do this. And so we walk with you through those first few phases of that to get everything dialed in, give you a full bulleted proposal. And our goal is that we will earn your business during that time. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. That's fine. But at least you have somebody with experience that knows what's going on, walking with you through that first 90 to 120 days, getting all the information together. You're actually walking into a design center. You're picking out cabinets. You're picking out tile. You're picking out flooring. You're picking out trim and all the countertops and kitchen faucets and bath faucets and toilets and fixtures and everything in your home to where you've now got it out of your head on paper. You know exactly what you want. You know what it's going to cost us to do it for you. And then you can go and shop the market or, maybe you're just blown away by the Barndo Co. and you're ready to sign. We have both. And so it's fine. That's why we do it that way. We want you to have the best experience possible. We want you to be in the driver's seat. We want you to have control over where it goes and how fast it moves and who's going to do this for you, right? We want to be your builder, but only if it's the right fit.
Yeah.
So no, consultations are free.
All right. So last question we have for the day. Do you have any models available for tours?
Absolutely. And we don't call them models. These are actual real life construction projects. There's probably 100 under construction right now, spread out all across our build areas. And the best thing to do to get into one of those is to fill out that contact form on the website, get on the phone with one of the sales agents, go ahead and have that pre-discovery call. And even if you don't onboard right then, while you're on the phone with that sales agent, you could say, hey, look, we're in this area. We're wanting to go tour one. We've never even been in a barndominium. We'd like to see one. And they can tell you when they personally are going out or another agent in the office is going out and doing a field visit. And they can schedule that for you to get you in one, maybe get into a couple of them. And so that's the best way to go about it. And the cool thing about it is you're not walking into a model that we built on the side of the interstate to where everything's flawless and we have every upgraded feature and, and then you realize like to build that house is $800,000, but they advertise it online as $400,000 because, it's all base model. The getting to go out on a real job site, walk into a real home under construction, chances are project manager might be there, a trade might be there. You get to see kind of like real life experience. You're going to walk into one. You may walk into one that's close to complete. That's wonderful. You may walk into one that's in the middle of all the rough ends and there's wires hanging out of the ceiling. But it gives you a really authentic look at what is actually happening here. And then if you want to see like finishes and all the pretty stuff, that's why we have design centers. So we have design centers in Seymour, Tennessee, Dunn, North Carolina, Summerville, South Carolina, and then Duncan, South Carolina. And hoping to have a few more here in the next few months. Just so everywhere we build, people have easy access to go in and see all the pretty. But beyond the pretty, we like for you to be able to get out there and actually see the real construction process and really see what you're getting. Because if you go on one of our job sites, we've had so many people that do these site tours and they walk through one of our homes and they're comparing it in their mind to other models that they've seen or other homes they've been in. And then they can really see it. The best is to tour one that is in that framing stage because you're seeing all this structure that's in that home, and anyone can look at that and go, there's no way this isn't superior to what we looked at last Saturday.
Yeah.
And so we really encourage that. We love taking people there. And the cool thing about it is with 100-something builds, we want to get you in something that's kind of comparable to what you're wanting to build. You know, like if you're building, if your idea is building, a 1,200 square foot cottonwood plan, then you don't want to go tour the 6,000 square foot mansion that we're building, and vice versa. If you're wanting to build the big barn with a 3,000 square foot garage and 4,000 square foot of timber frame porches, you don't want to go see, the elderberry.
Yep.
Like it's just stylistically, it's not going to give you the full experience. So that's the importance of getting in there, filling out that contact form, getting in front of a salesperson, kind of telling them what your goals are, and then let them coordinate with you to get you into that one. And if you're one of those people that are just like, gung ho ready to go, you want to drive a little bit, you could pretty much see anything you want to see. Like, we have so many people that from all over the country that call us that are either moving into one of our areas. And they're like, well, we're going to be up there at this time. We'd like to go see one of these. And our sales team does a great job accommodating all that and making sure that they meet you on site. They do weekday tours during business hours. They do weekend tours. They do a lot to get people access to those properties.
That is all we've got for today.
That's all the questions.
That's all.
You guys are getting light on me, man. Like they're getting easier and easier to answer. I like that. Well, I hope that you found some value in today's episode. And again, if you have a question, the easiest way to get our perspective on it is to go on to one of our Facebook groups. Go to our Facebook page at the Barndo Co. on Facebook, at the Barndominium Co. on Instagram. I think we're at the Barndo Co. on TikTok. And just go in there and drop a question or a comment on one of our posts. Jenna will see that and highlight it. Or you can visit one of our groups, the Barndominium Designs and Layouts page.
We've got the Barndominium community.
Yep. There's so many groups that we control that we see that. So you could be engaging with other people's posts because, on the designs and layouts, there's tons of people in there. Even other builders that are posting things that they've built and things. You can ask those questions, and we're always kind of going through there and looking for really good quality questions that we see repeated often. And then even some of those crazy oddball questions, we try to highlight those as well, because anything that we know that would provide value to someone that's in your shoes, that's thinking like, is this the right fit for me and my family? We'll pull that out and we'll try to get it on the episode and ask. And you can even at Jenna. And if you want her to be sure to find it. But anyway, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you asking these questions and being active in that community. And look, there is no such thing as a dumb question. You're building a home. You're spending a ton of money to do this. No matter what your budget is, that's your budget. And it's a lot of money to anybody that's building. And so we want you to have a great experience. We want to be transparent as we can possibly be. And here's the thing. We want you to have what you signed up for. We want your impossible dream to become a possible reality by any means and methods available. So again, thanks for tuning in, and thank you, Jenna, for always bringing the heat on these Q&As.
Oh, I will.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.